means to love, because I do believe that love means choosing as well as something that happens. Of course, there needs to be chemistry between people, there needs to be interest. Hey everyone, it's me, Lisa, and I'm coming at you with another video. We are coming back to reviews because the sequel to Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, has just come out and I finished it. Just to give you a review of this sensation, the most expected book of the year, and however this has been called. There are so many people on the Bookstagram community that read it or that are reading it, and I did want to be part of the fun. I have made a review of the previous book, Fourth Wing, that you can find up here if you're interested, and it is very much picture perfect fantasy, meaning that all of the elements of the fantasy are there, and it has a lot of trouble, a lot of interesting characters, and a lot of interesting developments. So how was this sequel? Well, I think that if people were looking for something that stood up to the challenge of being as good as Fourth Wing was, they were not disappointed. I personally found that I wasn't disappointed by this book. And for me, the smutty scenes are something that is potentially avoidable. I don't love them at all, but they weren't so extreme. What I found a bit less cool than I found as well in the previous book was that Xaden was incredibly the perfect man, in a sense that whenever it came to relationship, he was incredible. Always able to communicate effectively, always able to do what was best for the couple, and that was a bit troubling because there are elements that he keeps having secrets, for example, but I didn't love that because me, in relationships, trust is the most important thing. Without the trust, you go nowhere. And I found that in this case, Xaden was lacking that and avoiding the mature thing to go into the relationship, facing upfront his challenges. And there is a character development in that sense, because by the end he is much more able to do that and to confront his own fears. But very honestly, I don't know, I'm not super impressed by that. But it was still nice because I really liked Violet. The main character always has such a fun voice and always is quite fun. The trope of the main character is obviously special girl, this and that, but I like that she is nerdy, and that is something that in people can be very judged, and this is her main power in a sense because she's very smart, so she can understand many things thanks to her scribe background. So I really like that about her. I like, as always, the fact that she's very short and petite. For example, in this case, there was a confrontation between two petite girls, her and another one, that had to do a jump. Spoiler alert, but she manages to do the jump and the other girl doesn't. And I don't know how that appears too much, because this thing felt like she really was the only one that could actually do it, and unless you are incredibly tall or strong, you cannot do it, which to some degree is true, because you're gonna have to face many more challenges if you are of a different body type than to the one that is preferred. But in this case, I don't know, I found it something to think about, because it really shows us that there are limits to the possibility of one's body. For example, yesterday I went to do a waitressing job, and there were some things to lift that other people lifted, because with these arms, what am I gonna lift? Like, they are strong for this little, but they are not able to lift incredibly heavy things. There are limits to physical abilities. I really do appreciate that that was a complexity that was added on. The addition of more grey character interpretation was also interesting because there are a lot of instances where there are many questions that are posed to the main characters in terms of what is it right to do? Is it right to stand here and do nothing? Is it right to do something? And there are complexities in that because every situation that came up was quite complicated, and there are family issues that are faced. So really it was quite interesting to see that, because if I placed myself in the position of the characters, the choices that they make don't seem so unreasonable. And I think that that's basically the aim of all of these novels, that of course they have the crazy things like dragons, but also there are important life choices that come into them that are very, very interesting in a way and troubling. Because what would you do if you were in that place? We really don't know, because when that comes to pass, incredibly challenging situations, we really are not prepared and we could do very troubling things. So I like that. I think that because I've not heard any interview from this author, I cannot really judge on the reasons why she placed certain things in, but by the analysis that I am making, I feel that that's pretty much what she was aiming at. And the romance, I think, complicates things because in a way I think that the intention of it is of course to keep the male interest up front, but at the same time it has many complexities. What it means to love is a real complexity that comes in, because I think that the author perceives it as something that she has no choice over. It's just something that happens, and if you find the right person, you're just gonna be with them regardless. Which I think it kind of does diminish a bit what it means to love, because I do believe that love means choosing as well as something that happens. Of course, there needs to be chemistry between people, there needs to be interest. Similar interests are obviously a plus, but it's not the only thing that needs to happen, because if there are things that happen, like in the story, very, very troubling things that come up and are discovered, is the love something that is gonna remain up? Is the love something that people are gonna continue pursuing? Because for how exciting it might be, it's very morally troubling. Overall, I think that the novel has moral troubles in it that it explores. I'm not sure if it does it in the best possible way, but I do think that it offers some possible answers of a situation that is so complicated that obviously every person will do it differently, and so it's very important to keep that in mind. What would we do if we were in that situation? We really don't know, because it's really hard to sympathize and to be able to make those choices if we are in the safe comfort of our own homes with nothing troubling happening around us. It would be much different if we were in war zones where those choices are made on a daily basis, and it's very, 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 very complicated. So very interesting to see, especially reading about those things in this period in time where wars have come up a bit all around the place, and the religious wars are still a thing, unfortunately, which is very troubling. But it helps us to reflect. It helps us to, I think, sympathize with the characters and come in to the picture. I just think that the enemy in this case is an enemy that is completely evil, that is not someone to sympathize with, which is a great choice, because there are so many enemies where there is the enemy grey character, and in that case it's much harder to hate them, but here it's much easier to do so. So I think that sometimes enemies shouldn't be redeemable, and in this case I don't think they are, so it's very positive. So I really hope that you enjoyed my review. I actually think that if you are into fantasy, You will probably really like this one. The dragons are just awesome, and they have such strong personalities, which I really like. So I would absolutely say that if you are into fantasy, pick this one up. It just came out, so no worries, no rushes, but it's gonna be a good addition to your collection, certainly. So don't feel afraid, just start it. I really think the hype is worth something, and it was morally troubling for emotional aspects, but I don't think it was too graphic in terms of showcasing disgusting things. So I do think that it would be okay for people that are a bit more icky on that side. I personally am not, but the ickiness level is not high, so you would probably enjoy it. And if you do read it, please tell me what you thought in the comments down below. And if you're planning on reading it, please tell me. And if not, also, because I would like to know why you don't like to read. Maybe it's not your genre, but I assume that if you click on this review, it probably is. So tell me what you think down below. Please leave a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.